Ryan Holiday has written many bestsellers such as The Obstacle is the Way, Discipline is Destiny, and so forth. And he mostly deals with Stoicism, and today we're going to learn about 5 things that he teaches. The first one would be that Ryan Holiday is very much against perfectionism, because perfectionism often hinders us from making progress. It often hinders us from even starting. Because if we have this high expectation of ourselves that what we're going to do ought to be perfect or it's no good, then this expectation is so high that we feel intimidated and don't even start doing this task because we don't want to feel like a failure. So basically, instead of being a perfectionist and procrastinating, what Ryan Holiday thinks, or how Ryan Holiday goes about his writing, is that he first writes a first draft, and then there's something that he can actually work on to make it better. Because if he doesn't do that first draft, even if it's not his best work, even if it's not necessarily great, if he hasn't got this first draft, then he hasn't got anything to actually improve on. And then the second one is that morning routines are very important, and that we should make sure that we do our most important work early in the morning so that we've got it out of the way, and we don't get caught into this trap of doing all the other things and then realising at the end of the day when it's already too late that we haven't done what we actually found most important. And that we should build our day around what we find most important. Because if we don't, is it really the case that we find that important, or are we just telling ourselves that? And then the third tip would be, because we can't control results, we should set goals around the things we can control, the actions we take. So for example, Ryan Holiday's goal when he writes a book isn't to write a New York Times bestseller or sell so many copies. His aim is just to write a book that he himself can be proud of and of which he can say he's done his best work. And another thing we can control is, and actually pretty much the only thing, is ourselves, is how much we discipline ourselves. But when it comes to self-discipline, you want to make sure that you're strict with yourself, tolerant with others. There's a reason why self is a part of that word. It's called self-discipline because we are supposed to do it with ourselves and not with other people. You can't expect other people to see things exactly as you do, and you can't kind of impose your own rules on other people. And then the fourth thing is that he often asks himself the question with everything that he uses, whether he is actually using that or whether that thing is using him. So basically with all kinds of temptations, he always asks himself, for example, with, let's say, if you've got a phone addiction, do you use your phone or does your phone use you? And also the same with food and all other kinds of temptation. Whether you're the one who's in control or not, any temptation isn't necessarily in itself bad. You can use your phone for plenty of great things, and food is necessary. It's just whether we are in control of how we use that, and if we use it in a way that we want to use it, that we intend to use it, or whether we are just not thinking about what we actually want to do and end up, for example, when it comes to your phone, scrolling on social media all the time without doing something that you actually intend to do with it. And then the fifth tip would be to regularly reflect on your progress. In one podcast, Ryan Holiday said that he definitely doesn't want to be the person who, in 10 years' time, has to think to himself, how did I get here? How did I get, in case he's in a bad situation, in this bad situation? And the only way to prevent that is by reflecting daily on how well you're doing, so you don't fall off track. So we don't have to make the big change to get us out of a rut. We can just make micro adjustments here and there because we've spotted our bad behaviour early enough to do something about it, to quickly make sure it doesn't become a habit. And therefore we just have to make a small adjustment, opposed to after you've already developed that habit in a very strong way, having to then make a big change. Now, if you want to know tips about another author who also wrote many best-selling books, you can watch this video here on Brendan Burchard's advice.